out there and welcome to Public Conscience. This is the anti-corruption program produced by the Progressive Impact Organization for Community Development, PRIMOC. PRIMOC is a civil society organization with a mandate to promote good governance, participation, and accountability in Nigeria. I am Adaobi Obiabumo with Esther Bassi.
Welcome to the program.
On Public Conscience on Radio, we seek to evolve a corruption-free society through the amplification of corruption stories reported by our partner media organizations and drawing citizens and government attention for democratic actions against it. We equally promote integrity in the society by focusing on rare cases of the display of honesty by public officers and individuals in the course of their activities. This program has the support of the MacArthur Foundation.
Today on the program, we will be looking at an investigation carried out inside two Chinese quarries at Obafemi Owode in Ogun State, where safety is ignored and workers are treated like slaves.
One of the challenges facing our nation is the problem of unemployment. You will recall that last week we looked at the endemic problem of job racketeering in Nigeria as a resultant effect of unemployment.
Another ugly side to this coin is the employment of Nigerians in unfavorable working conditions, especially in firms and organizations owned by foreigners such as the Chinese, and of such discoveries was by Sadiq Ojuwande, an undercover reporter with the cable newspapers.
The report stated that workers at Ding Zing Zhuan Quarry and AB Quarry grappled with issues of poor welfare, poor remuneration, lack of personal protective equipment, PPEs. 8 out of 10 workers interviewed at the quarry said they were not provided with the necessary safety kits to protect them from possible accidents during working hours.
Just in case you don't know, a quarry is an open excavation usually for obtaining building stone, slate, or limestone, and the act of quarrying involves blasting and breaking of big stones, which exposes workers to different types of hazard.
It is pertinent to note that Section 12 of the Labour Act 2004 demands that an employer takes responsibility for personal injuries sustained by its workers while on the job. But not only are the conditions of workers at the quarries in violation of labor laws, but it was also discovered that hazard allowances are not paid to them.
The workers claim that their complaints always lead to termination of workers' contracts. This is worrisome. This is quite a worrisome trend. The status of these Nigerians as casual workers implies that they are not entitled to any benefits apart from their wages.
And painfully, in almost all the cases, little or nothing is done by the government or the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) to mitigate against the prevalence of Nigerians working under adverse conditions in Chinese-run companies across the country. The program today is aimed at drawing the attention of government and every other relevant body to the plight of workers at quarries located at Obafemi Owode area of Ogun State, as well as other firms run by foreign nationals when Nigerians are subjected to ill treatment. For you listening to us, we would like you to share your experience with us if you have any. What we are talking about today is human rights abuse by foreigners on our soil. What do you think could be hindering the government and relevant authorities from addressing cases of maltreatment of Nigerians working in Chinese-run companies?
Be ready to join us through phone and text messages in the course of the conversation. The WhatsApp phone line to send your message is 0902-265-6167. That is 0902-265-6167. Please indicate your name and your location when sending your message. This is for messages only.
Please begin to send your messages as soon as possible to 0902-265-6167. That is 0902-265-6167. The numbers to call will be given shortly.
Just before we bring in our guest into the discussion, we should mention that stakeholders in Ogun State are of the opinion that some Nigerians are collaborating with the Chinese firm and advising them against doing the right thing.
Joining us to shed more light on the report and look at the exploitation of workers in some foreign-owned companies are investigative reporter with the cable newspaper, Sadiq Ojurobe, who will join us via the phone. But here in the studio, we have a lecturer of sociology at Bingham University, Dr. Hope Cole. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thanks for that.
The executive director at Care for Legal Assistance and Human Rights Protection, Barrister Sunday Adaji. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you.
We also have Mai Fatima Ahmed, Assistant Director, Legal, Economic, Social and Cultural Rights Department at the National Human Rights Commission, Abuja. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
We'll start today's discussion with Barrister Sunday Adaji. You have read the report. How would you react to this report, and why are labor laws flouted by foreign companies without fear of punishment by the government?
Yeah, I've actually read the report, and it's really a thorough investigative report done via undercover strategy, a strategy that will enable the journalists to get real information, real authentic information. Actually, I've read it, and it's really, really condemnable for foreigners earning billions of dollars annually from Nigeria, subjecting Nigerian workers to inhuman and degrading treatment. It is really, really, really nothing to write home about at all. And then it is not really going to be a surprise for us in the human rights sector, because if you look at the way we treat our own workers here right in Nigeria, it's nothing to write home about. Every year there must be strike, there must be industrial action. It is either national resident doctors today, tomorrow it could be National Union of Teachers, it could be other labor movements. So really, it's nothing to write home about, and they are really, really violating Nigerian labor laws with impunity.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Yes, and just as the undercover report reveals, there are Nigerian collaborators. If not, foreigners have no right. Foreigners cannot dare do what they are doing presently.
Okay, just to quickly highlight some of the incidences in the report. According to the report by the cable newspaper, Adeoti, a bricklayer and father of two, was paid 600 naira daily at the quarry between 2016 and 2020, after which his pay was increased by 100 naira. From the report, we also had some of the staff who, the casual workers who sustained injury. A particular casual worker also died, but according to the report, the Chinese-owned company did not do much in terms of remuneration and then medical services to some of these casual workers. But let me quickly turn to Dr. Hope Cole, who has done a whole lot in terms of articles and papers on casualization of workers in Nigeria. Could you help us understand why the rate of casualization in the nation's workforce continues to rise? Do you see the government taking serious actions?
Well, thank you for that. Just before I make you understand the high rate, the reason for the high rate of casual workers in Nigeria, let's even know what casual workers means to us as Nigerians. A casual worker is described as that person that is engaged to work within a period of not less than 6 months and must be paid on a daily basis. At the end of every day, it should be paid what they call stipend on remuneration. But that is not the situation in our country today. So casualization is actually the practice of engaging casual workers who are supposed to be within 6 months in permanent positions. That is the dilemma we are. Looking at why casual worker is on the rise in the hands of employers, it is because they want to maximize profit and minimize cost. The essence of going to the workshop is for you to make profits. And like in one of the reports,
at the expense of the
at the expense, because
workers.
People don't do what you expect. It is what you inspect. No one comes into your home and take charge of your home if you do not leave your home porous. You just said in one of the reports that stakeholders in Ogun State did mention that some Nigerians are the ones aiding and abetting these foreigners in quote. government have quite a lot of mechanisms. I know government is doing something at a snail pace, however, but they have a lot of mechanisms they could use to help them if they feel they can be everywhere. We have something like NECA, Nigerian Employers Consultative Association. It was constituted since 1957. It's made for Nigerian employers, private employers, to come together. That's a forum government has put in place, that this is where I could reach out to private employers. So they also have their mandate, they have their missions and their visions to ensure that they bring together labor policies and socio-economic issues. If it is mandated or mandatory that every foreign employer, let's start from there, who must come into Nigeria must be NECA compliant, then they must be CIPN compliant in terms of their human resource department. So CIPN will not have the right to go down and check. Then when government is going to relate with anybody, government is not going to that individual organization, for example, the Obafemi Owode's, government will now call on CIPM and call on NECA. If you don't want me to bring you down or just, cut you off, this is your member, he will not go further to say, this is not my member, perhaps he was just registered with CAC only, so why is he not having this and this? So if he has that, then you can be able to put them to check. These guys came from wherever they came from to make profit in Africa.
You have said that some of these, in fact, most of these organizations are here to make money,
yes,
to make profit. And I also understand that casual workers are not allowed to form unions. Could that be one of the reasons why the exploitation is on the high rise?
Yes. See, one thing is very, very sacrosanct here. The flouting of or the negating of the labor law. The labor law section 7 subsection 1 says no staff, no employee should be left on temporary engagement not less than 3 months.
Okay, I would get back to you.
Okay.
We have the reporter Sadiq Ojunrobe on the phone lines with us. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, we must first commend you for taking the risks of doing this undercover investigation. Could you give us an overview of your findings and how the workers at the Chinese-run quarries in Ogun State are maltreated?
Thank you. It was really a great story, but I had a lot of experience because gaining access to the place as trust is not something I was using, so I have to pretend like working with a driver, a truck driver, to gain access. And to regard the way most of these Nigerian workers and Chinese companies are being treated is very, very bad. They treat us like we are, most of those workers are animals. And the amount they pay for the job these people are rendering them is kind of very, very pathetic. And apart from that, they have a lot of stringent rules, stringent policy. You don't send them away, you can't complain, you can't challenge, you understand? You don't treat them like slaves.
Okay, so are there...
Where they sleep is very, very bad.
Okay, that has been established, but are there reasons workers at the quarries are not provided with personal protective equipment? And is there efforts from any other quarters to compel the companies to provide personal protective equipment for these workers?
Yeah, what I think happened from my findings and investigation was most of these Chinese companies, when they are coming to the country, there are some that are already existing. So they just try to follow the templates. And because we don't have the government, even NLC, the Mine Workers Association, despite all their efforts in fighting issues to provide them with PPEs, even if some of those companies, when they are coming, let's assume that they provide the first set of workers with maybe 50 with PPEs. By the time they start seeing that other Chinese companies are not doing the same thing, and there are any policy, anybody stopping them, anybody taking them to court or doing anything on it. They also behave in that manner. So most of these Chinese companies, they don't provide anything for their workers except few ones. And even those few ones, they just maybe key people, key workers, like supervisors and all of that. But the real workers, they don't provide them with the needed PPEs to work.
Okay.
They just treat them anyhow because they believe we are in a banana republic or something.
So during your investigation, I want to know if you were able to cite any of the engagement letters given to some of these casual workers.
If I'm able to work,
Cite the engagement letter given to any of the casual workers.
yes, I saw one. Because I spoke to the lawyer during my investigation. That lawyer was working with the Chinese company before.
So
on the long run, because I saw one of the engagements something, but I was unable to. The lawyer did not do some things on personal level.
So you couldn't establish the conditions of employment.
The condition is very poor. The list of rules they give to the workers when they are taking the job is kind of very, very poor. That even if you try to fight it in the court of law, you may not win. And that is why I have a lawyer that tried to take a particular case. That man had an accident when he was working, and the man demanded from the Chinese company to pay him some certain fee so he can use to take care of himself.
Okay, Sadiq, following your discoveries, did you get in touch with relevant authorities, and what was the reaction from the Federal Ministry of Mines in Ogun State?
Federal Ministry of Mines, they were just playing with me. I tried to get in touch with them. They said the person that will speak with you is not available. I went there so many times. Even the state government.
What about the Labour Congress?
I had the meeting with the Commissioner for Information. He told me that he's going to get back, that we were already doing an investigation on it, and I should be there like 2 months. I waited for like a month and a half. I did not get any response. So the government too was not that forthcoming in that regard.
So are you trying to say that since January, when this report was released, till now in March, nothing has been done?
Nothing has been done. Nothing has been done.
Okay, thank you.
I tried to reach out to the government even after that. Cannot do anything.
Okay, Sadiq, thank you so much for your time, and I must also congratulate you for doing this undercover. Thank you so much, Sadiq.
Thank you very much.
If you're just joining us, you're on to Public Conscience on radio. I still have my guest here, Dr. Hope Cole, Barrister Sunday Adaji, and my Fatima Ahmed. We'll now shift our attention to our guests from the Federal National Human Rights Commission. You're welcome again to the program, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
You have heard from the reporter the treatment meted out to the casual workers. How would you react to all of this?
Thank you once again. Permit me to give a brief history as regards National Human Rights Commission. I will make it very brief. The National Human Rights Commission was established by Decree number 22 of 1995, pursuant to the United Nations General Assembly resolution, which enjoins all its member states to create national human rights institutes to promote, protect, and enforce fundamental human rights and fundamental freedoms. On this backdrop, the National Human Rights Commission is mandated to protect, promote, and enforce fundamental human rights. So as regards this undercover that Sadiq came up with, is a fantastic development, because the Commission on its own will not be able to know everything that happens within the country. So definitely this undercover has given us a kind of leadway to continue building on it, to monitor progress as regards the undercover he has done and investigate further so as to know what and how all the things have been done. So the National Human Rights Commission, by its mandate and in line with its act, has powers to investigate, monitor, and it could be on its own. It could be in this kind of situation that has just happened. Ordinarily, even when National Human Rights Commission observes the rights of individuals is likely to be threatened upon, they can swim into action, let alone this one has already happened. So we're going to build on it, we're going to investigate further, we're going to address all the areas that needs to be addressed, and in due course, we will come up with a better steed.
So I want to believe that the person listening to you would be optimistic, hearing that the commission will spring into action to ensure that this report does not die, but that the company, the organization indicted, when you conduct your own independent investigation, you would come up with your findings and then you would react to the report.
We certainly need to do that, because this kind of thing shouldn't be swept under the carpet. It pains us how these multinational organizations disregard the human rights of our people, Nigerians, in this context. The maltreatment cannot even be defined. They are paid meager amounts. They are forced to sign things that ordinarily, left in their own conscience, will not sign. So it's all cheating. It's all cheating.
Okay.
And this kind of thing should not be left to continue. So we are really happy.
You have mentioned that you're going to embark on investigation, personal investigation. So what are the steps, aside from the investigation, what other steps will the commission take?
We can also come up with ways and manner in which the whole thing should be conducted. As regards when they employ their workers, we can hint them on the extant laws of labor laws, but it's not like they don't know it. They really know it, but they disregard it. So on our own part, we have to continue training and retraining. We have to continue making people aware of their rights, a kind of sensitization programs. We have to continue on that, and based on this strictly, we liaise. I think we will not leave you, definitely. We'll continue liaising with you to get the document across so that we can do it the right way.
Okay, thank you for...
It shouldn't be a kind of offhand thing. We need to really have all the documents and the relevant information needed.
Okay, thank you for that. But the phone lines are beeping. Esther, we really must get the person listening to us to join the conversation.
Please follow us on our social media platforms @officialprimark.
And remember that the program is interactive. The WhatsApp phone line to send your message to is 0902-265-6167. That is 0902-265-67. How would you react to the conversation? Would like you to share your experience with us if you have been maltreated before while working for a foreign-owned company. What do you think the government and other relevant authorities must do to address several cases of maltreatment of Nigerians working in Chinese companies? I have my first call. Hello? Your name and where you're calling from?
Yeah, my name is Mike. I'm calling you all the way from Abuja.
Let's hear you.
Okay, I think I've been listening to the program, and the program was interesting. Listening to our mom there talking, there are some things that is going on inside the Abuja here, like some of those multinational companies. You don't need to go far. Please, just send your investigation team to move to Juliusberger and check and investigate more, and you will see some things that is going on that is never working in this country perfectly.
Okay, do you have evidence of anything you would want to share, or you just want us to go and investigate?
Yes, I have some. Just investigate. I don't have anything, but I've tried my best to investigate one or two things. And the way they are, those employers, from the criminals to the security, the way they are treated, you just need to go and ask them and let them treat you. Some of them have been working for more than how many years? They have no pension.
Okay, could you send us the evidence you have to info@primark.org or 0902-265-6167?
No problem. I'll do that to see you.
Thank you so much for your contribution on the program.
I'd like to come back to you.
Okay.
You mentioned your commission would do training, sort of sensitizing the workers. So what's the view, like these organizations, the Chinese company, would you write to them? What would you demand sort of engagement with them? Will you invite them to your commission for questionings, and what punishment would there be for them?
Thank you once again. We have different ways. We have our modus operandi. We have our own mode of operation, put in another way. So with this report at hand now, of course, it's not going to be a hidden thing any longer. We are not scared or afraid of the things we do. Like I said earlier, on our own, even when we see the human rights of people are likely to be threatened or has been threatened, we swim into action. This time around, it's continuously being threatened. So we're going to write, we have the full address now. We're going to write and hear their own side of the story, definitely. It's not going to be a one-handed affair.
Okay.
So we're going to give them all the right to be heard. Then by the time we get their own comments, we now take the next line of action. Okay. Because if we just carry out our investigation based on one-sided story, it's definitely going to hold no water.
Okay, thank you for
So
that.
we write them, seek their own comments, then we take it up from there.
So
Okay.
definitely.
Hello?
Okay.
Your name and where you're calling from?
I'm calling from Esitu. My name is Emmanuel. Yeah, just like your guest is saying, honestly, there's a type of injustice meted out to workers, Nigerian workers, not just Nigerian workers. Even, in fact, when we did our there's a woman, I may not mention her name, she has an organization. She go to Metamas, I'm telling you. If you see the way this woman is maltreating our workers, you never believe. In fact, she prisoned our workers. So,
Do you have evidence of this, sir?
Madam, I have evidence. Do you know why I have evidence? I have evidence because I have ever been in system. I'm sitting.
Okay, could you share what you have with us?
Okay, so what I'm telling you is, go to Metama, particularly precisely, Vegelago, behind Officer Fellowship, Vegelago Street. Knock on that gate. They will tell you what is going on there. Slip there.
Thank you so much. Okay, wow, it does appear that some other organizations in Nigeria are also infiltrating their staff. We have a message here from Taiwo from Kuje, and it says, "Good morning all. I thank the management of Primark for giving citizens the opportunity to know and participate in the discourse of governance. Where is the Nigerian Labour Congress, Minister of Labour and Productivity? Every challenge has its expiring date. Citizens should get their voters card, participate in the voting the right leaders to transform our country, Nigeria, will be great." Thank you so much, Taiwo Aderebiwe. To send your messages, kindly send it to 0902 265 6167. 0902 265 6167. Especially the last caller. I would be expecting your message. Back in the studio, I still have my guest, Barrister Sunday Adaji, Dr. Hoko, and May Fatima Ahmed. You have heard what the caller said. We'll get to Barrister Sunday Adaji. Help us understand the supposed legal consequences for breaking employment and occupational safety laws in Nigeria, which is the subject of this investigative report.
Yeah, there are legal consequences of violation of labor laws in Nigeria. Specifically, when we talk about labor laws, we are talking of the Labor Act, and then the Employees Compensation Act of 2010. The Employees Compensation Act of 2010 replaced the Workmen's Compensation Act of 1987. So now there are legal consequences. Okay, for instance, under the Labour Act, where an employer violates the terms of agreement between the employer and the worker, there are sanctions meted out. For instance, under section 67 or so, which states that where an employer violates such right, you will be asked to pay when on conviction. You'll be asked to pay just 500 naira or so. I will have the citation here, and I will do. Then for under the Employees Compensation Act, the violations there, they said, okay, well, any employer that violates the provision of this act shall be fined with 200,000 naira, and then maybe 6 months imprisonment. And then that one was also specific that those sanctions will be on the directors, the secretary, and other managers and other principal officers. Then what is also interesting to note here, what is important here, is the fact that even the sanctions are not stiff, are not weighty enough that will, even if it is implemented, they are not weighty enough to stop these violations. Because when you ask a company to pay 500,000 naira or 200,000 naira for violations, then it will even encourage them, because it doesn't really count on them.
So do you think the labor law needs to be repealed?
It needs to be reviewed. It needs to be reviewed so that fine they are paying should be much. I think that way it will really be effective. Okay. But then the area of concern mostly is that non-implementation. Then secondly, let me take more points. Secondly, those labor laws, they also amount to violation of the citizen's right under section 34 of the Constitution, which is that every Nigerian is entitled to his right to dignity of human person, and as such, nobody should be subjected to forced labor, nobody should be subjected to inhuman and degrading treatment, and anyone that is subjected to that to inhuman and degrading treatment can approach the court of law for redress. Okay. So there are sanctions. For me, the sanctions are not weighty enough.
Okay, we have a text message here. It says, "Good morning and well done work. A Lebanese company, Unique Nigeria Limited at Jamata in Lokoja, Kogi State, just visit the site and see what is happening to Nigerians. There are casual workers there who have been employed for the past 5 years. They do not even allow the staff to have a union. A Lebanese will beat and abuse Nigerians the way they like. Quite unfortunate. We have also said that some casual workers are not employed and not allowed to join unions, so there's nothing like collective bargaining on behalf of these casual workers." But let's speak with Dr. Okon again. What are the social implications of citizens working under adverse and dangerous conditions in their own country? What impression does this leave in the mind of the victims?
Well, it's quite condemnable and it's dehumanizing. And whatever is dehumanizing actually takes the dignity of the individual that is the victim of that consequences. That has led to what has been Nigerian workers lose confidence in this country. That is the reason why you see a Nigerian would rather die outside this country, even as close as Ghana and Benin Republic. They rather want to die there rather than being repatriated or asked to come back to their country, because they feel their country has nothing for them. But still talking on these casual workers, I just want to quickly react to what Barrister just said. When you come to the law court, you have to bring down what you have on ground. Most of these employers of labor are not violating the labor law according to the casualization schemes, or according to the casualization law. The law says the only thing they are violating is a section 7 subsection 1 of the labor law that says you must not have a worker under temporary or casual scheme of employment more than or less than 6 months.
But does the labor law identify a casual worker? Because what is stipulated in section 7 subsection 1 is a contract staff.
Beautiful, which is a temporary staff. And I tell you today, even Nigerian multinational organizations hide under the fact they use it as they second these workers to some other organizations. They tell you that they are secondees to their own organization, and these workers don't even know their mother organizations. They only know the primary place where they work. So they met out all sort of unprintable conditions to them. So what is the, because we were asking the guy that did your undercover, what's Sadiq? You were asking Sadiq, were you able to cite any of the contract of employment? I was waiting for that answer. He said, well, he cited something. What is the content? Because you give me a letter of employment, I also approve or I accept the letter of employment. So I've obliged, or rather I've signed in that I am ready to take your conditions of employment. Perhaps even if it is not written there, it's supposed to cover quite a lot, because that is what the lawyer will hold forth to say, I want to fight for a casual worker. How long were you employed? How much do you know your law? How much do you know your right as an individual? Majority of them don't even know this section 7 subsection 1. They don't even know what their right is because of the hovering high rate of unemployment. Like, we have this slogan that is actually eating deep into us. At all. You know, we just have that because most you die. Majority of them have died. Many have lost their homes. Many homes have been broken. If you listen to some radio stations, you hear a situation where some foreigners take over people's wives forcefully as part of the ill treatment for such casualization.
You know, you're a sociologist, and Karl Marx did mention what we call the reserved army of the unemployed.
Beautiful.
Could that be one of the reasons why Nigerian workers who have been unemployed for over 10-15 years, and they're lucky to have this contract and casual employment, and they're willing to take it? And also know that some of these organizations did not employ these casual workers directly. They did that through a recruiting firm.
Call it outsourcing.
So you will not see expressly on their letters of engagement that this particular individual is under my employment, but rather under the employment of the recruiting agency. So you do not have a legal right. You cannot, when you get to the court, you really don't have any evidence, because your letterhead, your letter of engagement does not say that you're engaged with my organization.
Like Barrister would confirm here, ignorance is not an excuse to law. Not at all. If you say, for example, with my few time I had in LNG, I know when I'm seconded to an organization, I'm primarily responsible to that organization, and that organization is also primarily responsible to me. Should I slum and drop dead in LNG at that point in time, whereas I was seconded from the NNPC, the NNPC will not be held responsible at that point in time. It was Nigeria LNG that will be held responsible. Majority, in short, all the secretaries were outsourced by other companies, but they work. Some of them don't even know the company they are even affiliated to. All they know is that this is where I work. So if we really have the mechanisms, we have them. Labor law, we have an NLC there, we have NECA, we have CIPN. If they can be woken up to come out and do what Human Rights Commission will work with those people, then give them this mandate that CIPN, please ensure that all foreign organizations have their human resource department CIPN compliant. If not, we will have issues with you. You pick up on that particular forum, in Nigeria. They call up on NECA. If you cannot wake up to your duty call of ensuring that these foreign organizations are part of your members so that you can checkmate them. The NLC, how do you get your check of dues? How do you have people unionize? Because certainly the law does not approve that temporary workers within 6 months should be unionized. So these employers, they've leveraged on the fact that you don't check them, you don't inspect them, they certainly will not do what you expect of them.
Okay. Let's get back to the representative from the National Human Rights. Okay, let me take this call. Hello. Yes, your name and where you're calling from.
Yes, my name is Steven.
Steven, let's hear you.
Yeah, I appreciate the program, and I want to tell you categorically that most of these companies in Nigeria, if they are 1 million, they are all substandard. None of them is up to 20 to 30% of work standard. So, I have heard you ask of evidence. Most of these people asking for evidence may not have that power to enter into organization and begin to ask questions or take pictures. But if you are to enter, if the authority are to enter into all these organizations, they will not find anyone worthy in Nigeria, not even one worthy of a standard in Nigeria. No one is worthy. So none of them. The whole system is faulty. The whole system is faulty. Nigeria needs to upgrade their system for the betterment of their citizens.
Thank you so much for your contribution. I must mention that we invited the Nigerian Labour Congress, but as we speak, we do not have a representative from the NLC joining us in the studio. Hello. Could you turn down the volume on your radio set, please?
Good morning.
Good morning. Your name and where you're calling us from.
Okay, this is Mr. Thomas. I'm calling from Usetu.
Let's hear you, Thomas.
Okay. What you are saying is applying in everywhere. I can see that you focus your attention in foreign company only. Did you know that our local companies are practicing all these things everywhere now? Like for instance, some of these companies, our local companies that are open in Nigeria now, most of their employees, as the senior staff they employ, they came from those foreign companies, and when they come to the local company, they apply that same system to our own company now. They are practicing the same system. The same system they practice with those foreign companies, and they are using it in our own local company.
Okay. Thank you so much. It does appear that Nigeria-owned private companies are not excused in this ill act. But as we wrap up, let's get to May Fatima Ahmed. Are there channels for citizens to report to the Commission when they encounter exploitation of this nature?
Yes, there are channels for, available to Nigerians and even non-Nigerians living in Nigeria to report any kind of violation they come across to. For instance, one can walk up to the National Human Rights Commission headquarters at number 19 Agui Ironsi Street to lay a complaint in writing, or one can send it through email, or one can do it by his own self or by proxy. Someone can do it on his behalf. And sometimes we do receive oral complaints too, but of course they are always reduced into writing. And sometimes our sister agencies, relevant organizations, do refer complaints to us to handle that have human rights violations, because not all rights are human rights. Okay. Yes, not all rights are human rights. And human rights in itself is equally broad. I may not really want to go into that. But let me just give you an example. Okay, just an example, just 1 minute, please give me 1 minute. Like the fundamental human rights in chapter 4 of the Constitution are core human rights. Human rights are rights that a person is born with. They are inherently into one. You can't take them away from a person. But just ordinary rights are rights that accrue from, like, contract. You sit, you bind yourself by the terms of agreement. So that's the little difference stated.
Okay, thank you. It's good to know that there are channels by which citizens can actually report cases of exploitation. You can also send us a text message 0902-265-6167. That is 0902-265-6167. And please visit the news page of our website, primorgnews.org. That is primorgnews.org for all the details of our reports and interviews. Visit our website, www.primorg.org, to get all the information about Primorg. And you can watch our videos on Primorg TV, our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to get reminders when we have a new post. And we sincerely appreciate our guests, Dr. Hope Cole. Thank you so much for being here, lecturer of sociology at Bingham University. Barrister Sunday Adaji, the Executive Director at Care for Legal Assistance and Human Rights Protection. Clap.
Yeah, clap. It's my pleasure.
Thank you. Yeah. And also May Fatima Ahmed, I'm Assistant Director, Legal, Economic, Social and Cultural Rights Department of the National Human Rights Commission, Abuja. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And also to Sadiq Ojurongwe, the investigative reporter with the Cable newspaper, who joined us via the phone. Thank you so much, all of you. Public Conscience has the support of the John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation, committed to building a more just, vibrant, and peaceful world. Get more information about the foundation on its website, macfound.org.
Join us here again next week for another episode of Public Conscience, and remember to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Official Primark. I am Esther Basi.
And remember that birth registration and birth certificate are both free if your child is under 18. Help stop the corruption in birth registration and do not pay for birth certificates. Also remember that you can give us information or hint about corrupt acts through our phone 0902 261 0902 265 6167 or info@primark.org. I am Adaobi Obiabumo. Stay safe.